Have you ever stopped to think about where our technology really comes from? I don't mean the lab or the company, but the culture itself. Today, we're going to dig into a really cool idea, the hidden cultural blueprint that's tucked inside every single AI. And trust me, what we find might just change how you see technology forever.
It's a question we kind of just take for granted, right? We tend to see tools like AI as objective things, totally separate from our own biases and beliefs. But are they really? The truth is, and this is the key, technology is never neutral, not ever. Think of it like a fossil preserving the shape of an ancient leaf. Every piece of tech carries this invisible signature of the society that dreamed it up in the first place. So let's start by unpacking that hidden blueprint. We're going to see how even our most complex and, scientific creations, especially AI, are born directly from the cultural worlds that invent them.
A good way to think about it is that science has a kind of cultural DNA. The values, the assumptions, the intellectual habits of a society, they all get encoded into its inventions. And AI, maybe more than any other technology out there, is a direct reflection of the culture that's building it right now. So what does our culture's DNA look like in the AI we use every day? Well, it's creating what you could call a one-answer machine. We're seeing this strange drift towards certainty, towards determinism, and we really need to understand why that's happening. Okay, so here's the fascinating paradox. Underneath it all, AI is purely probabilistic. It doesn't deal in absolutes at all. A large language model is basically just a super powerful guessing machine, predicting the next word based on a whole bunch of statistics. It's built on possibilities, not certainties. And this creates this central paradox, this huge disconnect. Under the hood, the machine is a master of probability, right? It's ranking dozens of potential outcomes. But what we experience is a machine that gives one single authoritative answer. It feels certain, even when its entire foundation is pure uncertainty. So why the disconnect?
Well, it really boils down to a perfect storm of culture and design. As users, we demand certainty. Let's be honest, an AI that hesitates or seems unsure, it just feels unreliable. And that feeds into a research culture that's built on these winner-take-all benchmarks, rewarding only the single best answer. So what's the result? Designers end up deliberately polishing the outputs, hiding all that messy, probabilistic reality that's going on underneath. But at the end of the day, this isn't just a technical choice or a design choice. It's a cultural one. This obsession with a single, final answer reflects a long, long intellectual history, one that has consistently favored one-truth frameworks, whether they're religious or secular.
But what if there was another way? Let's explore a fascinating alternative. Let's imagine a world of many truths by looking at the philosophical traditions of Sanātana Dharma. And this leads us to a really powerful thought experiment. Just imagine for a second that AI wasn't born in a culture obsessed with finding the one right answer. What if its DNA came from a completely different intellectual blueprint? See, in stark contrast to the West, the diverse philosophies of India, often grouped under this umbrella of Sanātana Dharma, they nurtured a profoundly different intellectual environment. It was a space where multiple, sometimes totally contradictory worldviews were not just tolerated, but actually encouraged to debate and coexist. And this wasn't just some vague tolerance. This pluralism was a core feature. Within this single tradition, you had non-theistic schools like Samkhya existing right alongside the radical materialism of Cārvāka and all the diverse theologies of Vedānta. The goal wasn't to find one winner, it was to engage in vigorous, structured debate. This whole spirit is just beautifully captured by the Jain concept of anekantavada. It's the doctrine of many-sidedness. This profound idea that reality is just so complex that no single viewpoint can ever fully capture it. Truth is like a multifaceted jewel, and each perspective only reveals one of its facets. Okay, so what does this all mean in practice? Let's take this idea and imagine what an AI built on these pluralist principles would actually look and feel like to use. This is where the thought experiment gets really exciting. If we swapped out that cultural DNA, what kind of artificial intelligence would we have sitting on our desktops today?
A pluralist AI would be fundamentally different. So instead of one dominant architecture like neural nets, it would integrate lots of different approaches. It would present you with possibilities, not verdicts. It might even debate itself, showing you arguments and counterarguments. And crucially, it would have what's called epistemic humility. It would know and state its own limits. And we'd measure its success not by its ability to get one right answer, but by the richness and the diversity of its reasoning.
Just imagine interacting with that. Instead of a single, confident declaration, your AI assistant says this. It doesn't just give you an answer, it invites you into a conversation. It makes you a partner in the process of thinking, instead of just a passive person getting information. Now, this is more than just a fun philosophical exercise. The design choices we're making today have enormous stakes for our future, which is exactly why we need to understand what's really at risk here. You know, continuing down our current path, it has real dangers. We're building deterministic AI that trains us to just accept its output as the final word. This stifles real innovation because we start chasing benchmark scores instead of actually understanding things. And worst of all, we risk applying this oversimplified one-answer way of thinking to our most complex human challenges. But the alternative, man, it's incredibly powerful. A pluralist AI, one that actually embraces all this multiplicity and uncertainty, wouldn't be a crutch that lets us hide from complexity. No, it would be a tool that actually helps us navigate it, to see problems from multiple angles and hopefully make wiser decisions.
And that leaves us with this final, crucial question. It's the choice we're making, whether we realize it or not, every single time we design a new model or build a new system. What is the ultimate purpose of this technology? Is it to shut down conversation with a single, final answer? Or is it to open up our thinking by helping us see the many possible ways forward? The path we choose will define not just our technology, but ourselves.